Hi everyone, I'm Siobhan McDonald from Granger Street Studios. I'm really looking forward to spending some time with you today, so let's get started. Welcome to our program. National Fishing Month is celebrated in July, and a lot of states and counties offer free fishing days during this time. This unusual holiday encourages us to drop a line in the nearest stream, pond, river, or lake. AgeSpan hosts us every month and makes sure this program gets delivered to you. They connect people of all ages and abilities with information and services to help them lead fulfilling lives in the community. I put a phone number here, but you can also check out their website for more information. We are so thankful to Right at Home Boston North for sponsoring this program. With over 20 years of providing home care services, their care team members undergo thorough background screenings and ongoing training to provide the best quality home care for their clients. Their mission is to change the world one human interaction at a time. I can really get on board with that. Taking a break from our daily routine to bait a hook and catch a fish can be relaxing. We're going to go fishing for some art and hear about some other things that are fishing related. This is a popular, beautiful, and diverse world, and we often come across images of fish in painting and other forms of art. This work on the left is by a French artist who published a 5-volume book series in 1798. He described hundreds of new fish species in that work. First, of course, I have to ask, did any of you ever go fishing? Raise your hand if you've ever been fishing. Well, my hand is in the air too, but I've only gone a couple of times and I was very young. I do support fishing though, and I love to eat fish, so I'm happy for those of you who enjoyed it. How long have we been obsessed with fish and fish images? A long, long time. During ritual worship, fish dishes as well as fish sacrifices were presented to gods of the underworld and the moon goddesses of water, love, and fertility. This symbolism was known both in ancient Egypt and in Celtic, Indian, Mesopotamian, Burmese, Persian cultures, and the art of the Eastern Slavs. But the images of fish were most widely spread and interpreted in early Christian art of the 3rd through 6th centuries. During the persecution by the Roman Empire in the first few centuries after Christ, ancient Christians used the fish symbol to mark meeting places in tombs or to distinguish friends from foes. According to one ancient story, when a Christian met a stranger in the road, they sometimes drew one arc of the simple fish outline in the dirt. If the stranger drew the other arc, both believers knew they were in good company. The Greek word for fish is ichthys, and as early as the 1st century, Christians made an acrostic from this word. You can see that here. Winslow Homer painted this, the Fishy Girl, in 1894 during his first year at Prout's Neck, which is near Portland, Maine. Maybe you've been there before. There, in a studio just yards from the beach, the painter, printmaker, and illustrator would create the celebrated seascapes of his final years. Here he's showing us a young woman on the rocky coast of Maine on a stormy day. 16-year-old Ida Meserve Harding stood for the painting. She modeled for a reported salary of $3 a day, rain or shine. Homer considered the resultant canvas the best single figure that I remember having painted. He loved this painting. Ida later said he was all business while painting when she spoke about Homer. Very serious, hardly speaking, although after each session he would talk affably and recount numerous stories. Homer insisted on privacy when he painted. He believed that painters should be inspired by first-hand experiences, so he built his studio on some land adjacent to his father's summer home, on a rocky cliff overlooking the ocean where he observed the daily tasks of fishermen and their battles with the sea. He enjoyed showing the sea when it was the most dangerous, perhaps to make a statement about our continuous struggle with nature. By the way, Homer's studio is a National Historic Landmark, and thousands of visitors tour it every year. Some art historians have called the Fisher Girl a work for the ages. They compare her strong competence and demeanor to the heroic paintings of Michelangelo's Sibyls, who were female prophets. You can see one of those paintings on the left-hand side. This is from the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel. In Homer's painting on the right, the loosely gathered fishing net and billowing tartan shawl soften the figure's silhouette. This creates a timeless profile. And here's another comparison, this time of their drawings. Here we see Winslow Homer on the left and a drawing by Michelangelo on the right. You can see that Homer is very much inspired by the work of Michelangelo. Homer is called one of the greatest American artists of the 19th century. He was famous for such seascapes, which often place nature on a grand scale with a solitary living form. Maybe you've seen this painting before. The Fog Warning is the name. It shows Homer's fascination with the sea, and it definitely shows man against the elements. Here we see a single fisherman rowing a dory with a couple of large halibut weighing down the stern. Notice how the waves have picked up dangerously, and the small boat looks almost vertical to us viewers. We can see right into the boat. The man turns to look back, both at the large sailing vessel in the distance and the incoming cloud of fog that may prevent him from reaching that vessel if he's not quick enough. What's going on in this picture? Instead of concentrating on historic events from the post-Civil War period, this is from 1885, Homer chose to depict the natural environment that surrounded him and the ordinary daily existence of American men and women. In the herring net, we catch a glimpse of two fishermen at work off the coast of Maine. In 1884, a large school of herring came to nearby Stratton's Island, attracting a huge fishing fleet. And you can see some of those ships in the fog in the background. Homer hired a boy to row him out to this fleet, and he sketched the men and boats until nightfall. This painting is based on several sketches made at this time. You can tell I really like Winslow Homer, but it's time for us to play a little game. Finish the sentence. These all relate to fish and fishing, of course. Like a fish out of... That's right, water. Like a fish out of water. There are plenty of fish in the... You got it. In the sea. There are plenty of fish in the sea. Give a man a fish and you'll feed him for a day. Teach a man to fish and you'll feed him for a lifetime. That's right. Teach a man to fish and you'll feed him for a lifetime. Big fish in a small pond. You got it. Big fish in a small pond. Do you like to eat fish? Which of these choices do you like best? We have fish and chips and salmon, swordfish, and tuna fish. I guess I'd have to say it depends on the day for me. For lunch, I actually like fish and chips or tuna fish, but I'll take either of the other choices for dinner. How about you? Which do you like best? What about shellfish? Do you like shellfish? Which of these do you like best? We have oysters and calamari, shrimp, or mussels. They all look delicious. How many of us like fish sticks? I don't know if you knew that fish sticks made their debut on October 2nd, 1953. The breaded curiosities were part of a lineup of newly introduced rectangular foods, which included chicken sticks, ham sticks, veal sticks, eggplant sticks, and are you ready for this? Dried lima bean sticks. Only the fish sticks survived, thank goodness. More than that, it thrived. In a world in which many people are kind of wary of seafood, the fish stick spread. The fish stick actually solved a problem that had been created by technology. There were just too many fish. Stronger diesel engines, bigger boats, and new materials increased catches after the Second World War. Fishermen began scooping up more fish than ever before. To keep them from spoiling, fish were skinned, gutted, deboned, and frozen on board. Birdseye, which was a Massachusetts company, was the first to come up with this invention of fish sticks, but thanks to great marketing, Gorton's of Gloucester now holds the #1 position for fish stick sales. And I love, if you can see on the right-hand side, that originally they were actually called fish fingers by Birdseye. I'm glad the name changed to fish sticks. Now, you may not recognize all or even many of the East Indian marine species that are seen in the first known book on fish to be published in color. This was in 1719. Don't worry, it's not from a lack of knowledge on your part. Some of these species that were depicted in this book of fantastical fish actually received a lot of artistic embellishment. In other words, the artist took a lot of license to creatively design some of these fish, and almost 10% of them are completely made up. The author and artist, whose name was Louis Renard, was a Dutch bookseller and publisher, and he was never known to have actually visited the East Indies. So many of the fish are embellished and fanciful, and he even includes some mythical creatures like this interesting-looking mermaid situation you see here. Here we're looking at the work of Emma Kissling. She was a scientific illustrator who worked for the Prince of Monaco, and she completed illustrations of various marine species. These are lovely, aren't they? I really tried to find a photograph of her or some bits of her biography, anything. I'm kind of fascinated by her. All we know is that she was born in Munich in the early 1860s, and she died around 1913. But I thought her amazing work deserved one more look. The color and detail in her illustrations is just incredible. Fish Magic is a 1925 surrealist painting by Swiss-German artist Paul Klee. His works really reflect his dry humor and his sometimes childlike perspective, his personal moods and beliefs, and his musicality. I don't have the answer to this question, but I'm wondering, why do you think he might have called this fish magic? If you're watching this with somebody, turn to them and tell them what you think. You can pause this video to get more time to talk with each other. William Merritt Chase is mostly known for his portraits and landscapes. He is also known for teaching Georgia O'Keeffe. Chase had a great influence on O'Keeffe's early artistic development. She described him as fresh, full of energy, and fierce. Edward Hopper also studied with Chase during his shift from illustration to fine arts, and you can see examples of both of their works there, along with a more popular and commonly known example at the bottom. Now, Chase was born in Indiana in 1849. He was the oldest of 6 children of a modestly successful shoe merchant and his wife. In 1872, after studies in Indianapolis and at New York's National Academy of Design, Chase was asked by a group of St. Louis businessmen if he'd like to go study in Europe with their support. He is said to have replied, "My God, I'd rather go to Europe than go to heaven." Beginning in 1904, Chase made many large-scale still life paintings of fish, usually during his summer teaching trips to Europe. This canvas shows a tabletop with a plate containing a striped bass and a salmon. Another fish lies directly on the table, and a bowl appears in the background. Chase's goal seems to have been to make what he called an uninteresting subject so inviting and entertaining by means of fine technique that people will be charmed at the way you've done it. To me, it looks like Chase is as interested in shiny things as he is fish, like this bowl, for example. And here's another painting with a copper kettle in the background, using that flat, shiny surface against the scales and texture of the fish really helped to create an interest in painting, doesn't it? And Chase's fish look pretty realistic to me. Here are some more fish that look real, but these are paintings too. The art of making 3D resin fish painting was begun by the famous Japanese artist named Ryusuke Fukuhori. Goldfish were actually introduced to Europe from East Asia in the 17th century. Here we're looking at a photograph of Henri Matisse along with a painting of his. From around 1912, goldfish became a recurring subject in the work of Henri Matisse. They appear in no less than 9 of his paintings, as well as many drawings and prints. Why was Matisse so interested in goldfish? One clue may be found in his visit to Tangier, Morocco around this time. He noticed how the local population would daydream for hours, gazing into goldfish bowls. In a view consistent with other Europeans who visited North Africa, Matisse admired the Moroccans' lifestyle, which appeared to him to be relaxed and contemplative. For Matisse, the goldfish came to symbolize this tranquil state of mind, and at the same time became kind of evocative of a paradise lost. Basically, he was seeking the good old days. And any of us who have gone to a restaurant that had an aquarium, or if you have one at home, you know just how meditative that can be, watching those fish. Now, I put this picture in just so you can get a sense of the scale of that Matisse painting. It's quite large. And many times when we look at pictures in books or see posters or billboards, it can completely mess up what we think about the size of things. The Mona Lisa is a classic example. Have you ever seen that in person at the Louvre in Paris? Were you surprised at the size? I know I was. A lot of people expect it to be much larger. Have you ever gone snorkeling or diving before? I learned a lot about fish by watching this TV show many years ago. The Undersea World of Jacques Cousteau is still considered one of the most important documentary TV series ever made. In the show, he and his crew would travel the globe exploring the world underwater. I believe Mr. Cousteau would appreciate our next section. Let's hear some fun facts about fish. The largest fish in the world is actually a shark. The whale shark grows to more than 50 feet long and may weigh several tons, but they don't pose any threats to humans. They feed almost exclusively on plankton and small fishes. Fish have been around for over 450 million years, long before mammals. Wow, I am feeling really young after reading that. Sailfish, swordfish, and marlin can reach speeds up to 70 miles an hour. There are more than 30,000 species of fish. Goldfish can live for decades. The oldest known goldfish, who was named Goldie, died in 2005 at 45 years of age. The second oldest goldfish was Tish, who died at 43. The Asian arowana, also known as the dragonfish, is considered the most expensive aquarium fish. Get ready for this, people. Certain varieties, like the super red and crossback golden arowana, can fetch prices from $10,000 to $400,000 for one fish. Seahorses are the only fish that swim upright. Oh, they are so cute, aren't they? I could show you fish-inspired art all day long, but we'll have to save some for another time because our time is nearly done here. Maybe we'll have a part two sometime, and I can tell you more about giant fish sculptures, like this beauty from Belfast, Northern Ireland, or this beautiful fish vessel on the right from Peru. There's lots of gorgeous tribal art from India, Alaska native carvings, and traditional wood puppets from Africa. It turns out that fish connect us all in so many ways. Thanks so much for watching this program today. Please join me again next month for the Art of Fruit coming in August. Final thank you to our host, AgeSpan, and our sponsor right at home, Boston North. Please reach out to them and let them help you get the services you may need to enrich your life. That was a lot of fun. I always enjoy looking for different images to share with you and diving deep into a subject. Thanks for spending time with me today. Until I see you again in August, I wish you a safe and healthy day. Goodbye, friends. Goodbye, friends. Goodbye, friends. It's time to say goodbye. Goodbye, my friends. I'll see you soon.